Blood of My Blood episode 4 I think was the best of the season so far. We saw an incredible moment between Julia and Ellen, with Julia literally making sure that her daughter Claire's fate is sealed. She's literally making sure that Ellen and Brian get together so that Claire can find Jamie in the future. It's such an incredible story. We're gonna discuss what happened in this episode and then discuss the trailer for episode 5, which is titled Need Fire, which should have already told you that Beltane is coming in episode 5. Let's talk about it all. Julia's plan. First of all, I'm so glad that they didn't show us that scene in bed with Simon and Julia. I'm so happy we didn't get to see that one. Part of me was hoping, to be honest, that Julia would get away somehow and it wouldn't happen, but it turns out that it did, and it is for Julia's good because now she can be pregnant without having to hide it from anyone. But as we'll probably see in episode 5, this may mean that her relationship with certain characters will get worse. This will either happen with Mr. Porter or Brian, because Brian knows that Julia is pregnant from her lost husband, but in the next episode, he will learn that she's trying to trick his father into thinking that it's his child. Now, Julia's plan is to go to Beltane because she learned that's the magical day. And from Outlander, we do know that it's the day when the portals between the worlds become thinner, so some people are able to time travel. But if Brian gets angry at Julia for tricking his father, he may not take her to the festival. We know that Julia wants to try to time travel at the stones because she thinks that Henry is still in the 1920s, so she wants to travel back to him. But somehow, I think she will be able to go to the festival and learn that Henry is in the past as well. Even if she doesn't see him, maybe she'll hear of him. She'll hear that a British man has arrived in the area around the same time she did, so she will stay to find Henry. This is all just speculation, I know, but I love coming up with my own theories about the show. It's part of the fun. If you guys have any of your own, please let me know in the comments. Julia and Ellen. One of my favorite parts of the episode was seeing these two meet each other for the very first time. It's such an interesting scene to watch as an Outlander fan, knowing that these two are Jamie and Claire's mothers. The fact that Julia is now acting as a bridge between Ellen and Brian is such a magical touch. I do hope that we see more of these two together in the future. Brian and Ellen. If you guys watched my earlier videos, I had argued that the love story of these two developed way too fast for my taste because they didn't really see each other that much before saying, hey, I'm in love with you, I'll die if I don't run away with you, that kind of thing. But in this episode, their chemistry, the way they looked at each other, the way Ellen asked Brian, you came all this way and put yourself in danger just to ask me that question, was brilliant. You could see the sparks in both of their eyes. We know that only trouble awaits them from now on. In the next episode, as we'll discuss in the trailer section, they meet during the festival, but it will be a while before they get to run away. Episode 5 trailer. The trailer starts with Mr. Porter telling Brian that Julia is carrying Simon's child, but as we've discussed and seen in this episode, Brian already knows that Julia was pregnant when she came to the castle because Julia confided in him that she was pregnant and that she was looking for her husband. That's why Brian agreed to help her, right? But the trailer shows that they're having a discussion with Brian questioning why she's using Simon to protect herself, and Julia tries to explain that she didn't have any other choice. The synopsis for episode 5 says that Julia loses allies when her secrets come out. So I'm afraid this is about Brian no longer wanting to help her. Because if he helps her run away, his father would do anything to catch her, thinking that she carries his child. I don't think Brian would want to risk that, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope this alliance break is somehow about Mr. Porter because Julia doesn't have any other allies in that castle, does she? The following scenes in the trailer show the Mackenzies and the Grants arriving for Beltane, the May Day festival. The synopsis says Ellen and Brian attend Beltane, a festival to celebrate the coming of summer where sins are burned away by the Need Fire. So this Need Fire, which is also the name of the episode, was a fire kindled by friction in the Scottish Highlands. They were lit each year at Beltane, and when the Need Fire was kindled, a bonfire was lit from it. The flames, smoke, and ashes that came out of it were believed to protect and purify. That's why the synopsis says, sins are burned away by the Need Fire. And the trailer shows Jocasta talking to Ellen, saying that maidens lose their innocence usually at Beltane. I think she's trying to warn Ellen from doing something crazy before her marriage to Malcolm Grant, since if people learned that she was impure and since Simon Fraser is already trying to paint her that way, the marriage would be annulled and there would be a huge fight between the Grants and the Mackenzies. Similarly, Ned also warns Ellen, saying that she shouldn't do anything reckless tonight. It looks like people are aware that Ellen is not fully on board with this marriage. I'm not sure if either Jocasta or Ned will learn about Brian, but they may sense that Ellen might do something to prevent this marriage from happening. During the festival, we see Brian and Ellen dancing. Now, how the hell do they find the courage to do that in front of everyone? I don't know. Is this a dream sequence? Might be. I'm not sure. We'll see. We have more scenes of Jocasta warning Ellen and then a scene with Malcolm Grant kissing Ellen's hand. To be honest with you, I think Malcolm Grant is quite nice. I was sort of expecting him to be this villain type character that we would hate so that we would want Ellen and Brian to get together even more, but he's kind of nice, don't you think? Of course, I'm not promoting arranged marriages, y'all, don't get me wrong. Ellen and Brian meet once again, and the thing that we feared would happen is happening. Myrta sees them. If you remember from last week's video, I was like, I hope Brian gets to tell him before things are too late, and he had the chance to tell him, but he didn't. And now Myrta sees them, and the amount of betrayal he must be feeling is indescribable. I feel so bad for him. We see that since Henry accompanies the Grants to the festival, he's there watching things from afar with Ned, and they have a discussion about finding the woman Henry's looking for. We also see Julia inside the castle, so I have a feeling she will not be able to go there, but even if she does find a way to go, I don't think she will meet Henry. It's way too early for that. The trailer ends with Archbug hitting someone during the festival, and I don't think it's a character we know. Is this part of the games, or is he just being a menace? We'll see. Beyond episode 5. I also wanted to share some theories I have that go beyond episode 5. I made a video about Outlander season 8 and how Blood of My Blood may help reveal something about the faith mystery that we learned about at the end of season 7. Some of my commenters pointed out that there is a scene in the official Blood of My Blood trailer with Henry running with a World War II memorial behind him, and I checked to see that the dates are actually 1939 and 1945. So if this is not some sort of editing mistake, he does end up in the future sometime in the season. But of course, this begs the question, why doesn't Claire see her parents after the age of 5, thinking that they died in a car accident? So this brings out two theories. First, Julia was not able to time travel, but the fetus or the child in her belly was, and that's why she was able to time travel. So maybe Julia does not have the time traveling gene, but Henry does, and through Henry, their child. So when Julia gives birth to her second child in the past, she's not able to travel back, so she's stuck. Another theory is that Julia can time travel, but the new child can't, since the gene isn't passed on to every family member, right? Claire might have it, but perhaps this new child won't. So in order not to leave their second child in the past, Julia and Henry will remain with this child. But how does this explain seeing Henry after 1945 in the future? I have no idea. We do know that this show is already confirmed for season 2, so perhaps he will travel to the future every now and then to make sure that Claire is okay, but he will do that from afar. But that would mean that they would both be alive when Claire travels back in time to meet Jamie for the very first time, and that would not work. It's so complicated. Maybe he travels to the future and ends up in a later time as an accident. I don't know how they will handle this. Or there's a chance these two characters will both die before Claire travels to the 18th century. Or they might move somewhere else to be away from Simon Fraser, I'm not sure. But like I said, it's so fun to come up with theories. If you have any, please let me know in the comments. And if you want to watch that Outlander Season 8 theory video, check it out here.